Hi, today we are talking about the Maiden Archetype. Maiden is innocence wrapped in curiosity. Maiden is the tune before we write the lyrics. A lot of people say Maiden is spring season. I beg to differ. Maiden is that moment before spring. She's not in full bloom. She is still the bud. When it comes to color, a lot of people say Maiden is pink. I would say she's more white, pure white. The world hasn't touched her yet. She doesn't have any preconceived notions about a lot of things yet. She's not jaded. So she is more white, which means infinite possibilities and infinite potentialities. So we talked about the season, we talked about the color, we said who she is. Now, have you watched the movie Tal? I'm pretty sure a lot of you have. Aishwarya Rai's character, Mansi, she is a maiden. Just have to adjust my wedding. She is a maiden who later on goes through her own heroine's journey. Have you watched the dance of hers? It's not complicated choreography. She's wearing white. She is barefaced. She is dancing in the rain and she's fully immersed in the blessings of Mother Nature. She's barefoot on the grass, she's running around, she's playing around with her other friends, and she is singing about romance because she is very much romantic. She doesn't know what romance is, she has an idea of romance. The books that she reads most of the time is more romance novels. She loves to daydream. She is that state of timelessness and joy and the attitude of the future will take care of itself. She's sheltered, she's taken care of, cause of which she's having lots of fun. If she is blessed to have a father who is in his king archetype and a mother who is in her queen archetype, then she will bloom into the most beautiful woman with the other archetypes integrated. It is easier for her to become, a queen. And while being a queen, it's easier for her to have different transitions of being a wife and being a mom and being a boss babe and lots of other things. But it is important that she is well guided. As I mentioned, it's white. Anything can happen to white. You can turn the white into something beautiful and ombre, or you could just throw something really dark and make it muddy. Now, a maiden is not seductive. She is evocative. She doesn't have to wear something provocative. Her maiden essence is what makes her beautiful. So she's not someone with, like long acrylic nails, very bright colors, too many like bracelets and jewelry. That's not what makes her beautiful. She is not smelling like an expensive perfume. She just smells like her soap, her shampoo, her conditioner. Just that innocence radiates from her inside out. When it comes to taste, she is fresh fruits, fresh vegetables. That's like hydrating. I would say maiden is that stage of like being so juicy and hydrated and soft and nothing complicated. Now, in the healthy masculine, a maiden brings out this need to protect and provide for, to claim her and to ensure that she gets to bloom in her own time. In an unhealthy masculine, there is this need to dim her light. A lot of narcissistic abuse and things happen from the stage because the maiden, though she's beautiful and, you know, evocative, not provocative, she doesn't know discernment yet. She hasn't mastered the art of discernment. She doesn't know what is a red flag, what is a green flag. So it's very easy to sway her into believing that hot and cold, a lot of intensity and emotional turmoil, that is love. So there is always that pitfall. That is why it's important that she is always guided by the right archetypes. If she is born into a family where the father has always treated her mother as the queen, and the mother has always treated the father as the king, and they were always talking about things in a very mature manner, conflicts were resolved in a mature manner, there were. Should I cut this bit out or should I just keep it? I hope it stays there for the rest of the video. So if she has seen what healthy relationships looks like, she will have an idea that it's not every day is perfect, but there is something beautiful in every day. If she understands gratitude, conflict resolution, decision making, strategies, time management, she builds her self esteem by taking up responsibilities and showing up for herself, and she is taught the right communication skills, and her innate talents are nourished. In that case, she is obviously going to bloom into a beautiful queen. But we do not live in an ideal world now, do we? If she I'm Indian. I mean, very obvious, but yeah, in Indian culture, things are quite like shifting a lot. However, there is still that underlying thing that you're a maiden, you get married, and you become a queen. That's not true. A maiden can become a wife. She will obviously become a mother. That doesn't mean she's accessed her queen archetype. Wife and mother are labels that's given to us and transitions we go through in our phase. That is not necessarily something we cultivate, that is something that happens as we achieve certain milestones in our life. But the queen energy is something, the queen archetype is something that we have to cultivate. As I mentioned, strategy, decision making, art of discernment, nervous system regulation, emotional intelligence, always keeping at being her best self, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, cultivating that deep, deep connection with God and with her own intuition, learning how to do her own research, how to have like her own career, make her own money, learning finances, financial literacy is such a big part of being an empowered woman. But if a maiden did not cultivate any of those things and she was just pushed into becoming a wife and then eventually becoming a mother, she doesn't know who she is. So she gets validation from her husband, she gets validation from her in laws, she gets validation from her children. And she always wants them to validate her instead of she cultivating herself on her own. So again, there could be abusive relationships, there could be situations in which she shows up in her shadow feminine while she is with her daughter. Now, a personal story is I went on this transition period of being a maiden and growing up. I wouldn't call it the queen phase because I still have a long way to go before I fully, truly embody my queen energy. But yes, I did go through the phase of being in the 12th standard and realizing that I did not want to be a doctor. I was a science student. I had to tell my parents, they were obviously disappointed. And my dad said, okay, quick, as soon as your 12th exams are over, you're getting a job. I'm born and raised here in Dubai. So it was a thing. When you're 18, you start working. and you need like employment card. During those times, you need like an employment card. You could still be in your dad's visa. So that phase, there is a transition phase from going from the maiden to the next stage, which is obviously the queen stage, the mother stage. You can have labels of being a mother without knowing how to be nurturing. So a lot of people will have problem with what I am saying because I'm talking about cultivating certain skills and certain energy in yourself. It is true, you will be in your maiden and you would be a 50-year-old woman who has no idea how to be a nurturing mother. And you could be in like your 30s and you're a wife. I should give up at this point, but I love this hearing, so I'm just gonna wear it again. You could be a wife, and not have any idea about finances, about budgeting, about running the household, about recipes, about homemaking, about showing up in your career in a certain way. Though there are certain things going wrong in the marriage, you might have become a wife without knowing how to step into a conflict with the mentality to resolve the conflict. You could be conflict averse. In all of these situations, you are not in your queen energy. And so I had to go through this transition period. So there is a transition period where you're not completely a maiden because you're not in that timelessness and innocence and wild curiosity. Now you actually have to become an adult, make a, like earn your own bread and start contributing to the society. But in this phase, you have no idea who you are. I had no idea who I was. Um, I got an 8 to 5 job. It was 6 days a week, and I was doing my BBA as evening classes. So I had to like wake up before 6 o'clock, and I was sleeping so late because after evening classes, I come home at like after 10, and like the shower, I wasn't eating properly, and I was just so tired, so lost. This was the time I deepened my connection with God, deepened my spiritual practice, went deep into reciting my mantras, and truly believing that I'm not alone in this phase. God is with me. I am being held, I am being guided. The right resources are being brought to me right now. Back then, there were no YouTube videos. So I got like a couple of books from here and there from the university I was studying in. I got some handouts from my seniors. They didn't want it, and the book was in a bad condition. It was about like I think rules of work. So I was learning what is work etiquette, how to write an email, how to dress up professionally. I didn't know how to do my makeup. I didn't know how to do my hair. Didn't know a thing about perfumes. And back in if you're in Dubai, there is a certain way in which you have to present yourself at work. And I had no idea about nutrition, about health. And in like 3 to 4 years of this journey, I was like done with my BBA. I was getting married, and again, it's a phase of I have no idea. I know a little bit of recipes here and there, but to have my own kitchen and to cook 4 or 5 times a day while I was still working, I had to figure so many things out. So in this phase, from going from maiden to the next stage of your life, though you will go through transitions of becoming a wife, becoming a mother, it's important that you understand becoming a wife and becoming a mother doesn't mean you have become a queen. You just need lots of skills at every point in your life. So it's such a beautiful, innocent archetype, and this archetype has to eventually bloom. A lot of people make this mistake that I've turned 20, I have a job, and I'm finishing off university. And, that's it. I'm not a maiden anymore. We don't need the maiden. We don't need her innocence. We don't need her joy. That would be wrong. I still have my maiden intact inside of me. And there are moments I bring the maiden out. For example, you're a mother. Do you need a maiden now? Absolutely. When you are playing with your children in the pool, when you are playing with your son and he's doing, like messy kind of art, you jump right in with him and have so much fun. That is the maiden. when you are going on a picnic with your husband and your son, like I'm taking my example, if I am constantly in the zone of, do you know the way? Are we in the right place? Oh my God, we're already late. Like if I'm like so controlling, I am not in my maiden. If I fully let go of the control and believe that my husband has got this, God has got this, I just have to show up and have fun. Now I am in my maiden. Shadow of the maiden is she will say, I can't figure this thing out. It is learned helplessness. That's not cute. As I mentioned, you have to learn to figure things out. And in the process of figuring things out, you have to have trust in yourself and trust in a higher power. Certain things you have to sharpen as you go deeper into your feminine energy and like your own archetypal journey is connect with a higher power, have full connection to yourself, to your feminine wisdom, to your intuition. If your body is screaming, do not trust this person, do not logic your way out of that. There is a reason you're being given the warning bells. I have been given warning bells about certain female friendships, and the moments I ignored the warning bells, really bad stuff happened. And now, when someone is not vibing with me, I don't label them as bad. I just understand maybe that person is not aligned with my own soul journey. So I just bless them and keep going rather than overriding my intuition. Because deep inside, we have our own GPS and we know when something is right and when something is wrong. And just lean really deep into your own inner wisdom and intuition, discernment. Learn how to be assertive without being aggressive. Learn what is boundaries. Learn the difference between standards and expectations. If you are interested in any of these topics and for me to go elaborate on them, I would love to create those videos for you. This, at the end of the day, this channel, the content I create over here, it's for you. So you decide what you want to watch. I have my notes here. The maiden in you keeps you. This has been a very entertaining video, right? If you're watching the video, this could be annoying for you or it could be entertaining for you. If you have been listening to the video, you don't know that my earring keeps falling off. And I do not give up. I just wear it again and again. Okay, so the maiden in you keeps you juicy, alive, and actually beautiful. If you are in a phase of your life where you're touching your 40s or way beyond, and you don't enjoy the life you have created, you don't enjoy the job, or you don't enjoy the relationships, or you don't like enjoy your own body, maiden is who you need to tap into. Because she's about timelessness, she's about curiosity, beauty, innocence. She's not jaded at all. She's very open. That openness is required. That sense of wilderness and curiosity and that softness, that surrender, that is required to bring you alive, to make you more juicy and alive and bring back certain passions. So that is when you really tap into the maiden. If you want a meditation or an EFT tapping for that, again, let me know in the comments. I don't want to assume anything. Maiden becomes a wife through marriage, but she doesn't work. If she does not work on herself, she will be unfulfilled, resentful, and very soon she will feel she is a maid, not a wife. But if the maiden works on herself consistently, she will show up in her queen energy, whether she's being a wife, whether she's being a host, whether she's being a mom, whether she is going for the PTA meeting, whether she is doing grocery shopping. She would exude the queen energy because she's worked on herself and she's still working on herself. She will give birth but cannot step into divine nurturing motherhood. She will sabotage family dynamics. This is when the maiden has refused to grow up. This is when the maiden is in her codependency. But this is when she wants validation from the outside. This is when the maiden feels like she is a victim of her circumstances and a victim of what others have done to her. This video is not me minimizing your journey or minimizing what you have been through. This is me illuminating the journey of a maiden, what she looks like, and the journey she has to undertake to reach the queen stage. And there is no reaching one destination. The queen stage in itself is a spectrum. Even being a maiden is a spectrum. All these archetypes, it's not definite, it's on a spectrum. So if she now sabotaging family dynamics can look like she's got kids who are growing up, kids who are getting into relationships. She will put herself in those relationships. If her children are married, then she will create problems with the partners of the children. She will have issues with her daughter where she puts down the beauty of her daughter and she thinks that she's way more radiant, and there's a lot of shadows that can happen, and also there's a lot of shadows around daughter mother relationships, and she might project onto her children. She might gaslight her children. If, for example, if I am showing up in an unhealthy way uh, towards my son, and my son is crying because of that, if I am not working on myself, and if I do not have self awareness and social awareness, and if I don't understand relational psychology, I uh, I will blame my son for crying without taking responsibility for the fact that the things I told him is what triggered him to cry. I hope you're understanding the depth of the conversation. This is the level of depth a woman, obviously even men, but here it's more of a women centric channel, right? So a woman needs to bring this level of depth, awareness, and understanding into the dynamics. It could be friendship dynamics, it could be colleague dynamics. Like there's a lot of dynamics all the time, and you should need to be aware of, is this person showing up like this because of me triggering them? Did I project something onto them? And that level of awareness. Again, we're not taking up other people's baggages. This is why I told you discernment is very essential. But if you are showing up in an aggressive manner in your children's relationships, and we know this in India, mother-in-laws will create a lot of issues with the daughter-in-laws, and the son has to choose between the mother and the wife, and that's not a very healthy place to be in. But this will happen if the woman is not in her queen energy. Bitterness, jealousy, blaming others without taking responsibility, and a lot of emotional blackmail. Also, living vicariously through her children. These are all shadow side of a woman constantly being in her maiden archetype. So, maiden archetype is absolutely stunning and beautiful and juicy. You can tap into this archetype when you want to get into that light feminine energy, that fun, flirtatious, creative. You can obviously tap into this energy when you're going on a vacation and you just want to switch off the brain and have lots of fun and read a nice book and go for the spa, go for a swim, be in your maiden archetype. But if you refuse to develop your skills, if you refuse to have that journey of personal development and self growth and self discovery and self awareness, you will be tapping into the shadow side of the maiden where it's learned helplessness. I don't know how to do it. Rather than being like, I don't know how to do it. I do not understand how to do it. However, I can figure it out. I could Google it. I don't know. I could chat GPT it. I could make a couple of phone calls and someone would teach me how to do it. Now you are becoming an empowered person. I hope I did justice to this archetype. In Greek mythology, Persephone, in her like that beautiful surrendered energy, is the maiden, and we know her journey and how she eventually became the queen of the underworld. But the transition phase was not okay. So when we talk about the maiden, it is very important to talk about the transition phase. It is very important to talk about discernment. It's very important to talk about what the maiden evokes in the other person. The maiden can evoke in the healthy masculine a need to protect and provide. However, if she's not empowering herself, she'll constantly remain the maiden without becoming the queen that even after a few years, she doesn't become his queen and his counterpart. And that could cause resentment both in himself and in her. I should end the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want me to talk about the rest of the things that we discussed in the video, let me know in the comments. I have done a lot of energy work before doing this video, so if you have noticed something different, again, let me know. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.